I think we'll just treat this as a conversation, as if we were in a cafe, and
Let's do it. Yeah.
and we'll figure it out along the
Okay.
way.
Yeah. We'll do like not conference mode.
Absolutely, absolutely. More like catch up with a friend kind of thing, and it's gonna be much better, I think.
Yeah, because I cannot compete with Ralph.
Let's not even think about that.
Okay.
You know,
Is this good? Do you want me to take? I'll take
no, that's
this out.
perfect. Yeah, I was very self-conscious about, wait, am I asking the right questions? Am I, because he can definitely keep going,
Oh yeah, but I think regardless of what questions you ask,
doesn't matter.
He's so
Yeah,
trained
yeah.
that he will get the message out that needs to be out.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the great thing about working with Ralph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Hi.
hi. I think, obviously, we're meeting today.
Yep.
The first thing that I would like to ask is, Emily, who are you and what is your mission? What brings you here? If you zoom out and look
Yeah.
at what you do.
My name is Emily Charry Tissier. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a company called Whale Seeker. We use AI to detect marine meso and megafauna from images. So images taken from manned aircraft, taken from drones, and also satellite images. And then where that solution sits in the grand scheme of things can really vary. It can be a standalone solution for monitoring, the marine environment and
Okay.
the animals in the ocean, or it can be a puzzle piece in a larger multimodal detection system. So for environmental impact assessment, meeting regulations, for shipping, for port management,
Right.
for marine protected area management. We've been working in Antarctica with penguins, monitoring, how if the colonies are healthy or not, if the spread of avian influenza. So there are so many different use cases for, needing to know where marine animals are and then what decisions are made from those data are sort of the dominoes that come downstream. And I'm really concerned with the first domino, which is how good are these data? How accessible are these data? How much can we accumulate to answer the questions better? And then whoever needs those data then will have them to make whatever decisions they need, but based on more information and more scientifically valid information than they might have had otherwise.
So I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and they were like, we were looking at the blue economy and where the demand is, which, by the way, I've been interested in knowing what your take is, but
Yeah.
maybe we'll keep that for later.
Yeah.
But, and I said, oh, well, ocean data, of course, that's an important part. And I remember the question was, yeah, but data for what?
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah.
And it sounds like this is something you've been thinking about.
A lot of people care. Yeah, a lot of industry cares.
To the point of
Yeah.
paying for it.
Yeah, to the point of paying for it. I will say most people don't want to pay for it because they view it as something good that you're doing. And because you're doing something beneficial, you should be altruistic about it and you shouldn't
Right.
get any money for it or shouldn't ask or you shouldn't have to pay for it. And it is sort of a global commons, the oceans and how are we managing it? But people are extracting from it and people are using the ocean for, for transportation and for fishing and for lots of different things. We need to put that investment back into the ocean to make sure that our blue economy is sustainable.
And who do you find is prepared to pay for it and,
Yeah,
get some skin in the game?
So governments are willing to pay for it because they have a mandate to monitor their exclusive economic zones, to make sure that their fishing is sustainable, that they're managing marine mammals in a way that is in accordance with international regulations. And so they have that conservation and management mandate, and they need data in order to do that. And then the story becomes a little bit more complex because people will then need data because they are mandated in a different way. So industry is mandated if they want the permits and the permission to build a port, to ship in certain areas, to develop new things. They need to do that within a framework of respecting the environment in whatever country they are doing that in. And they need data to do that as well. And then there's protected areas, you know, if you want to call them marine protected areas or sanctuaries, or it comes under lots of different names. But in order to determine if those things are being properly managed and if they're efficient and getting the results that they want. And recently, we're still working with WWF Arctic and Department of Fisheries and Oceans Canada and Princeton University to look at the migration timing of bowhead whales in the Arctic, because there's a geographic pinch point where the bowheads need to migrate through this sort of narrow passage. And if there's shipping traffic there, they won't be able to get through that spot, and then they won't be able to migrate, and then no more whales. And so WWF approached us about using satellite images to understand when that migration starts and when it ends, so that they can then advocate for dynamic shipping routes in the Arctic. So there's a lot of development with the increase of ocean data that we have. How can we more efficiently and on a finer spatial and temporal scale manage the blue economy's activities so that it can be sustainable, so that it can be win-win between, you know, making money and also sustaining.
Yeah. Do you find that these, you know, governments or entities or companies or organizations come to you with questions, or do you actively seek out and with an education piece? What's the dynamic there?
Yeah, that's a great question. We started in 2018, and we always had the idea that we would need to be working with regulators from the very start, because it's no good to have a tool that doesn't meet regulatory standards. No one will use it if the regulators don't accept it. So we have been co-publishing papers with scientists within the Canadian government to demonstrate that our AI solutions are as good or better than manual annotation, which was their gold standard. We can do it much faster, much more standardized, and also it uses a lot less GHGs, which is, so it's really a triple win. And the AI piece has really shifted a lot since 2018. So
definitely,
yeah. So at the beginning, it was, what is AI?
Exactly.
And why are we using AI to detect marine animals from images? And now it has shifted a lot to, tell me more about your AI. And I have to then say, no, this isn't the kind of AI that is, you know, Terminator or RoboCop. It's not going to steal your...
You have to say that?
Yes, I do. I have to say, this is not going to steal your job. It's not going to steal your identity. We're not going to preemptively, like, what is the Tom Cruise movie where they preemptively put you in jail for a crime that you're going to commit?
Minority Report.
Minority Report.
Good movie.
Exactly.
Good movie.
Yeah.
So none of that.
None of that.
All right.
Exactly. None of that. But it's what's in the public thought. This is what AI means, and we do need to be careful about it. And now, as with anything, but the emphasis has shifted so much to, I need to be really much more forceful about it. You absolutely cannot throw out your thinking cap. You need, the humans need to make those critical decisions and use their best judgment. You can't defer everything to AI. AI is a tool that will help the humans do a better job, go further, be able to ingest more data, have a further reach. But it needs to be supervised, and you need to absolutely have a human in the loop. So that is the education piece that I have shifted to now, as opposed to what is AI.
Yeah. So it used to be more educating on the basics, and now you're almost fighting misconceptions.
It absolutely, absolutely, and I have to say too, not all AI is the same. It's not all generative AI. Some of it is analytical, and so we're not using more resources by using our AI. We're actually using less because we're able to go through all of these data that would have been done manually, and doing it manually has an energy cost as well. And so if we're looking at a case by case study of what is the right tool for the job, absolutely, it's also been me saying, please don't use AI for generating a bar graph. That's what Excel is for. So I feel like now that we have this very powerful tool, it's sort of like a sledgehammer, and they're using a sledgehammer for everything when we don't need it for everything too. So yeah,
Yeah, I see what you mean.
how do we use this tool?
Yeah. And maybe it's this particular historical moment where everybody's sort of
think?
discovering.
But how do you feel about AI, and what is your view of how it's being used? And I'm in this sort of echo chamber in my bubble of how I'm perceiving the world and how people understand AI.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
It's funny. I was just yesterday. I saw a graph, and it was about. It was lots of little squares, and imagine this big square, and it was showing how many people have never used AI ever, how many people use free AI tools,
Right.
how many people pay for it, and then how many people use it for something like coding or something specific.
Yeah.
And so imagine this sort of square, and a good 3/4, if not more, was gray. That's the people that have never used AI in the world. So we're still at that point.
Yeah.
Then the last quarter, 90% of it was, let's say, green, and that's the people that use only free tools.
Mm-hmm.
And then you
Yeah.
have like 4 little squares at the bottom, and that's the people that pay, and only one in the end, the people that use it for, I think it was coding.
Coding. Yeah. Probably. Yeah.
So you're right, I think, in sort of feeling like we're in a bubble, because you're probably
Yeah.
the
I'm
last
in the.
four,
Yeah. That's right.
the little 4 little squares.
Yeah. Yeah.
But equally, I'm of two minds about it, because it does feel a bit like electricity. Or I remember the first time I used it, I sort of felt the same way I felt when I started using the internet for the first time. I
Yeah.
was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is something, this
Whoa.
could change everything.
That's right.
So there's a part of me that thinks it will change everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into, okay, is it going to change it for the better? Is it going to change it for the worse?
Right.
Is it all about how we manage it?
Yeah.
Are we even going to be able to manage it, or is it too late?
Yeah.
But then there's also maybe a part about, being a bit careful that, not make it into a hype, not make it into a .com bubble. And
Yeah.
I think that is going to be the new solution for everything.
Right.
Which can happen so often. I mean, this podcast used to be about seaweed. It was the seaweed industry. Now it's more about the ocean economy.
Yeah.
But you're smiling already, so
Yeah.
you know what I'm about to say. But there's been a time, it was maybe 2021, 2022, where everybody thought, well, not everybody, it's a niche.
Right.
But who was in the know thought that seaweed was gonna, boom, and that this industry was gonna solve so many problems,
Yeah.
because it was so amazing. And then it never really happened, or at least yet.
But don't you think it's just a rebranding of the same solutions over and over again? Because
Absolutely.
we're talking about seaweed just as in seaweed. You're right, when seaweed was the hot thing,
Yeah.
and it was like seaweed and mangroves, and
Yeah.
and this is going to change the world. And then it changed to marine carbon dioxide capture. But I feel like we're still talking about the same solutions, but we're just rebranding it because it's still seaweed, it's still seagrass, it's still mangroves, it's also whales, it's also phytoplankton. And so I feel like the hype is all about engineering something new.
Mm-hmm.
And our job really is to always reframe that branding and say, actually, the natural world already has marine carbon dioxide capture. there's lots of things that have been working very well for a very long time. We don't need to create a machine that does it, or so.
No, absolutely.
So I feel like we're always having to sort of recorral and redirection. What's the new buzzword, and go, okay, the new buzzword is AI. Well, AI is very helpful in the same solutions that have been working for millennia, and we want to, so I feel like we're always just having to reposition.
Yeah. And probably takes a bit of adjustment. I mean, like right now, when you have a problem, you'll never suggest or ask, are you going to be using a computer to solve that problem?
That's true.
Of course you're not.
Yeah.
Because it's so
Yeah.
obvious that it's just a part of, all the range of tools that we
Yeah.
use, and of course it's going to be there.
Right.
So maybe it's something like that,
Yeah, maybe it is
But-
something like that.
I think you touched on a really important point, because the more I'm in this space, the more I realize that the ocean economy and the ocean space, it's a combination, and maybe sometimes a difficult combination, between technology and communication.
Yeah.
And I feel that as an industry, we do a bit better on the technology side, of which there's a lot, and there's a lot of promising stuff coming up. There's a lot of smart people. But the communication bit, not so much. What is your background? What's your thoughts?
I agree. Oh, listen, this could be a whole podcast in and of itself.
And I've got time.
Yeah. But so in terms of technology, I just wrote a piece for the Journal of Ocean Technology that it's not out yet, but it was all about this, where everyone
Really?
is saying, oh, we're looking for new innovation and we can't wait for new innovation. We're not in an innovation bottleneck.
Yeah.
We have the technology, we have the solutions. And in most cases, they have been vetted in the real world. They have been accepted by regulators. They haven't been scaled. And they haven't been scaled largely because of communication. Because the policymakers don't understand, because we haven't included the go-to-market strategy, the finance assessment, we haven't included insurance or assurance or different financial metrics in how these ocean technology solutions are supposed to scale. And in order for them to be standard, we can't ignore that, because if we keep funding pilot projects, we'll only ever get pilot projects. And then they go and they fizzle and die, and we don't get any ROI on that investment that governments and industry have made in innovation and patents. They sort of plateau at this level because we don't have that community surrounding it, and we don't have the insurance and the policy and the communications. And so communications isn't just about marketing, it's also, how do you communicate between parties within your own company? How do you communicate to all the different stakeholders, investment, users, industry, conservation, different policymakers in different countries? We need to make sure that we know how to speak their language and tell them about this in a way that speaks to them and their values. And yes, it's maybe money. It's always money. Let's just say it's always money. That's always part of it. But then what are the other ways that it's important to you? Is it culturally? Is it regionally specific? Is it about different regulations where it's stopping you from doing X, Y, or Z? So the communications piece is, I think, a big reason why so much ocean technology hasn't scaled. It's because we haven't been able to tell the story properly and quantify it in a way that makes people understand why we need it and why the solutions are already here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is psychology
Yes.
piece
Yeah.
that we just forgot about.
Yeah.
Because what gets people in this industry out of bed is not necessarily what gets investors, clients, governments or whatever,
Yeah.
policymakers out of bed.
Yeah.
And so we think about the ocean, and it's hard not to, because we're here looking at this amazing place, and we've got a whale on the scene.
I know. We have whale noises going on. Yeah.
Of course, you're going to be focusing on the ocean, on the impact.
Yeah.
But I've been saying this for a while now. At the end of the day, it's humans you're gonna have to deal
Yeah,
with.
that's right.
It's humans that are gonna have to buy your solution. It's humans that are gonna have to, take that new approach, change.
Yeah.
And so, to me, it's like have we dug really into the psychology of what is gonna get that change?
Yeah. And I will say that one of the main barriers that we've found, not naming any names, is really ego. And different decision makers and different people's ego, either to say, this is a method or a policy that I developed and nothing is going to change that because this is mine. Or
Crazy.
these are my data and I've
Yeah.
always analyzed them this way and nothing else. I'm not going to change track. You're not going to tell me how to do a better job. You've just come along and now you're telling me how to reinvent things, which is absolutely not the messaging.
Yeah.
But people are quite territorial. Or it's also saying, oh, it's AI. I don't even want zero AI. I have a complete aversion to it. I'm not willing to even have a conversation about it or learn about it. And so I will say that it is, I think, the psychology aspect of not being willing to learn, not being curious to understand how things could evolve or be different or, yeah. So I will say that it is communicating and just like one-on-one and how do we reach those people and help them understand that we're trying to make their job, make their work shine even more. That it's not about replacing something, it's about augmenting and how can we help and how can we make your job easier or more cost efficient or how can we help you have a bigger reach with the limited budgets that you already have or so
Yeah.
it's about that framing and that communication and I think the misconception is that the people who are doing the communicating, it's just marketing and
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah.
And
Which is bad. It's dirty.
which is exactly, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
what makes people not want to talk about
Yeah.
communications. But really, if we reframe it and look at storytelling and communicating one-on-one and what's the message that you want to get across in the way, in the tone, and at the appropriate level of detail that you need to have legitimacy with your audience to really affect change. It's a job. Just that is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like translating a book into a different language. It's just
absolutely.
completely.
Yeah, it's not verbatim. It's
No.
there's nuance and culture and
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Expressions.
absolutely. Yeah.
What is the most important thing that we haven't talked about yet, but that you would really like to talk about?
I would like to talk about the community that I'm creating around certified
right.
routes.
Tell me about this.
Yeah. So Whale Seeker uses AI to detect marine animals from images. And we've been working on this tech piece for a long time. And we've been exposed to communities in lots of different market verticals. And we've seen, and also the world has seen because it was the focus of UNOC, it's the main messages that were coming out of the Blue Economy and Finance Forum is that we need blended finance, we need more collaboration, we need financial institutions involved at all the different levels, we need insurance involved. And so how can we make the blue part of our blue planet visible to the market and translate that into ways that is inclusive to policy and the economics of a bunch of different industries. How do we do that? And we are missing, we're not having the two pieces meet exactly. And so what I'm trying to find out is what are those gaps that we can help bridge. And so I just had a paper published by the IMAREST. It's called Navigating with Nature. And it's a case study looking at two different routes that were modeled between Montreal and Le Havre, so going across the Atlantic and going through some very contentious protected areas for critically endangered North Atlantic right whale and the St. Lawrence beluga population. Is it economically feasible to have these discussions, or is it a non-starter? So we just wanted to investigate two different tracks: the respecting marine biodiversity shipping route versus the fast and sail fast and wait shipping route. And what we found is that actually it's a win across the board. It is less fuel, so less carbon emitted. It costs less, and it avoids ship strikes, so it respects marine biodiversity, and it also decreases underwater radiated noise. So the timing it takes a bit longer to get there, so there's not zero downside to it. But when we saw how really solid economically potential that it had, and there are no multiple jurisdiction solutions right now across the ocean, and with the ratification of the BB&J, we are looking at how do we incentivize this good behavior, and how do we give insurance, and how do we give the shipping industry, and how do we give companies that ship their goods around the world new metrics to be able to say, yes, we are shipping in a way that is ecologically beneficial, but also benefits the climate, and it also benefits the future of sustainable transportation and a sustainable blue economy. And so we are building that out, and we're building it out with policy makers, with supporters, so people who are interested in shipping decarbonization. We have stakeholders, so shipping industries, routing companies, and then also countries who have no, between the carrot and the stick doesn't work very well because it's just sanctions. So we need to put much more emphasis on the carrot, and how can we have tools that are readily available and don't demand a big investment and don't cost the blue economy money to make a sustainable choice. And so that's the community that we're building out. So in line with what you were talking about with communications, involving all these different stakeholders from the beginning and making sure that we're meeting their needs and they understand what we're building, we're hoping that that communication and that uptake will be smoother.
And you feel that it is possible, and they will get it.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
You strike me as somebody who is very optimistic and energetic. I see your eyes light up when you talk.
I have a daughter. I can't leave her with a shitty world.
I was going to ask you what gets you out of bed, you know? Where's the motivation coming from?
Yep. I very much want her to be able to see whales in nature. So, that's what motivates me.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We nailed it in the
We
end.
did. Good cafe talk. Yeah.
Nice. Have we missed anything? Was there anything else that you...
I think that's good for now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Anytime.